Companies are spending so much money trying to protect their data assets externally, using firewalls, encryption, and data vaults. But what happens when data is attacked through its outputs? Today, I want to introduce you to some of those attacks and also demonstrate a solution that we propose at PVML. Hi, I'm Rina Galperin, CTO and co-founder of PVML, which stands for Private Machine Learning. And before you ask, we had to keep the V because it's impossible to land a three-letter domain these days. But that's a struggle for a separate discussion. Today, I want to talk to you about the struggle of data access. To illustrate, let's imagine a newly hired data scientist just joined your team. Let's call him Ben. Ben's a really nice guy. He's super smart, talented, and a team player. Now, question. Would you give Ben immediate access to all the company's sensitive data assets? Probably not, right? It's a huge business risk. But Ben is a data scientist. He needs data to do his job. It's literally part of his job title. So what do? Let's go over a few possible solutions, starting with a very common security-focused one. You've probably already implemented just-in-time access to support the least privilege feature of your zero trust security model. That's great. It means Ben will be able to get time-limited access to analyze the data before closing the session. But wait, let's back up a bit. Didn't we skip the first step, which means he will have to obtain this access permission in the first place? That's the entire challenge. Typically, this is given based on who the person is, what he needs the data for, and for how long. And unfortunately, most of these requests get denied. And don't get me wrong, it makes perfect sense security-wise. But the thing is that data access is not a security problem. It's a business necessity with security risks. So there has to be a faster, more enabling approach to this time-consuming process. OK, let's try the next one. Let's give Ben access to analyze the data eyes off, like in homomorphic encryption. So Ben doesn't get to see the sensitive data, but he can analyze it. Now, putting aside the time complexity of encryption methods, let's think, is it actually safe? Well, turns out it isn't, because the data is exposed to a very simple but dangerous differencing attack that occurs when the attacker has access to analyze the data. He can ask something about a population, and then ask the exact same thing about a population and its target individual. The difference between these two outputs is the sensitive information about the individual. I'll give you an example. I can ask what is the total salary of people in my company, and then ask what is the total salary of people in my company excluding the CEO. Obviously, the difference between these two outputs is the salary of the CEO, which is sensitive information. Now, generally speaking, the contribution of a single individual can always be computed through several queries. That's the challenge, that's the risk. Now, I know what you must be thinking. There's an easy workaround. We just block your access to personally identifiable information, so PIIs, so you can't target the individual. Well, this is called just enough exposure, or anonymization, and I'll be honest with you, it sucks. First of all, from a practical perspective, imagine Ben wants to train a machine learning model using medical data to predict cancer. I think knowing whether a person lives near a refinery or not is pretty crucial to the model's accuracy. OK, so it's maybe not the best approach for practical reasons. But is it safe? Well, not exactly. The so-called anonymized data is still exposed to linkage attacks when it is combined with auxiliary information to reveal specific individuals. And this, by the way, is so easy, it's been happening since the 1990s. So it's safe to say anonymization is a no-go. OK, but I just mentioned training machine learning models. And Ben is a data scientist. That's mostly what he wants to do with data. So where's the risk in that? Well, don't shoot the messenger, but machine learning models aren't safe either. They're exposed to reconstruction attacks or model inversion attacks. that occur when the attacker has access to the output of the model alone and can then reconstruct the corresponding training samples. For example, a very simple black box attack on a facial recognition model can reveal images used as part of the training set of the model. Think of an autonomous vehicle with a chip installed on it, with a machine learning model configuration on top. The training data used to create this model is exposed through the chip. That's super risky. Okay, I know, this is getting quite grim because we're struggling to give access through the zero trust model. Eyes of analysis won't work either. Just enough access is also problematic, and now I'm saying that machine learning models are at risk as well. Okay, so now what? Well, computer science may have gotten us into this mess in the first place, but it can also get us out of it, thanks to differential privacy. Differential privacy is the first and only mathematically quantifiable definition of privacy that lets you learn absolutely nothing about a single individual while learning useful information about a population, which is exactly what Ben and every other data scientist, analyst, or software engineer actually want to do with their data. You can also think of differential privacy as a contract signed between the algorithm and every single data record, guaranteeing that the algorithm will not overly rely on the single record when producing the output. In other words, the output probability will remain the same, whether every single individual was part of the data or not. Let's play a game to give you some intuition on what is differential privacy. I ask you something quite sensitive that you may not want to share with me. Are you evading taxes? Do you like your coworkers? Have you ever broken the law? Or maybe something that is a corporate classic. Are you actively looking for a different job right now? And you answer according to the following flowchart. You flip a coin. If it comes up heads, you tell me the truth. Are you actually looking for a different job? But if it comes up tails, here's where the randomization of differential privacy comes to play. You flip the coin a second time, and you give me an answer according to the second coin flip. So if it came up heads, you give me yes by default, and if it came up tails, you give me no by default. Now, think about it. Looking at your answer alone, I cannot infer anything about you. Even if you told me yes, maybe it's because you got heads and you are actually looking for a different job. But maybe you got tails and then heads at the second coin flip and you gave me a default yes. Your information alone is completely useless to me. But when all the people in this room play this game with me, I can actually get a good idea on the number of people who are looking for a different job right now. That's the power of randomization in masking the individual while still allowing me to learn something useful about a population. It's not exactly how differential privacy works, but it gives you a nice idea. Okay, that's kind of cool, right? But where's the catch? The catch is that differential privacy is not a technology. It's a definition or a promise. And the challenge is to implement algorithms that keep those promises. And that's exactly what we did at PVML. We created the next generation of data access platforms so that Ben doesn't have to wait days or weeks to access data for a limited time or only be able to analyze a subset of the data because of anonymization techniques. He can actually access the full data live, no stale snapshot, and analyze it using machine learning models or queries, getting a differentially private output from every computation, thus protecting the company's IP and also the privacy of the clients or individuals who are part of the data. Thanks a lot for listening, and feel free to come ask me any questions if you have any. Thank you.